Everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Let's Talk Cost Shop podcast where we will be interviewing TJ Toad. But before we get started on the podcast itself, I have a very special intro theme today. So, without any further ado, I give you guys the waypoint in the ocean.
Our drunken friends is at it again, racing at night in need for speed. The waypoint in the sand on a glistening beach. He drove past it like a drunken fool, and his friends were asking him if he found the waypoint. Then they started questioning his sobriety. They figured out Beat was drunk and told him to drink coffee, but his dumbass grabbed another beer.
I was thinking
Beer,
beer. I really do.
Beer, beer, beer. With his mind not right and his beer goggles on tight, he could not find the waypoint. Dum dum dum. He's still looking for the waypoint. Then he finally thinks he sees it. He tells his friends it's in his sight. He's been looking all night. He says the waypoint's in the ocean. Do 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 dum. His buddy looks at his live stream and says, "Bro, it's right behind you." But B was too far gone. He drove into the ocean. The moral of the story is don't drive drunk, or you might think the waypoint is in the ocean. Oh. The moral of this story is don't drive drunk, or you might think the waypoint is in the ocean.
Oh my god. Don't get drunk and play Need for Speed and stream at the same time. Hey everybody, welcome to the Let's Talk Cost Shop podcast. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, Triple Beat, alongside Against All Odds and Young Samurai, and today we have a very, very special guest, TJ Toad. TJ, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, Juju22 here, and well, that's my YouTube name though, but it's great to be on the show for the first time. And
For the first time in, actually, it's the first time in general. I was the first time in forever.
Kyle.
it may as well be. It may as well be, but anyway, no,
Yeah.
it's great to be on the show.
Well, it's good to have you here, TJ. First off, I guess let's start with, why don't you tell us a little bit about Blue Toad Wrestling? Like, what if someone is brand new and they're just walking in and they just find the show for the first time? How do you explain, or how do you tell them what BTW is? Yeah.
How do you describe it?
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's like a run-in at Let's Make a Deal. That's
Okay.
really what it is. It's a run-in at Let's Make a Deal. Because if you think about Let's Make a Deal, what do you see on the show? A bunch of costumes, right?
Yeah.
Cosplay. So imagine what happens if a fight breaks out. That's kind of what you get with Blue Toad Wrestling. You have all sorts of characters, and I mean, of course, you're gonna get you'll get some real characters, and then you'll get someone like, say, the Mario Brothers. Because I mean, really, who does not know the Mario Brothers?
Let's go!
As a start,
Right?
yeah. that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay. All right. So you're in your Fed live, like live matches, in universe, and some outside of universe.
Correct.
When you're booking your cards, like what are some of the things that you look for when you're booking? Like, do you have long term storylines? Do you have anything like that? Like how do you approach booking the shows?
Well, I only just started doing some long-term booking in the sense of it's built around a faction and the people that oppose it. I don't want to say it's a secret. Well, now it's not a secret anymore since it's already playing out, so I can at least talk about it. Whereas before, if you'd have asked me this like maybe a month or two ago, I probably would not have been able to tell you. But now that it's played itself out, I can tell you.
Okay.
So it has to do with a new stable called the House, and the House is not based on In Your House from WWE, but rather when the casino, or there's always the thought that the house in the casino always wins. So that's kind of where that derives from.
Okay. I think I might actually have a few members of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In fact, two of them are in there. One of them, of course, is Kelly the Dude, Mavericks.
Mr. Surfer Boy.
Mr. Surfer Boy.
Good.
Yeah. And the Pirate Girl, or Pirate Princess, Jen Corso. Excuse me, I had a burp there.
I was gonna say, whoa, hold on, whoa.
Jen Corso.
It's all good.
I mean, I could try to keep talking in a very deep voice, but no.
Oh.
No, we don't. You don't need to hurt your voice, dude. You're good.
But no,
We have been joined by
yeah,
Bowser.
Well, no, his would be probably more terrifying, but it wouldn't be that deep. Like, come on, let's not confuse Bowser for Barry White.
Now-
Oh gosh, I'll never forget. Yeah.
Now that's who should have voiced Bowser, Barry White.
Damn.
Yeah, well, but he had passed away long ago. So not, but still. Oh yeah, back to the question was who was in it, and then Jose's in it as the leader, and I mean there's a couple of other characters, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, really.
Okay.
But most of the time I build towards the premium live events, or pay-per-views as they used to call it, or as I call it, or as I've always called it since when I first started out, super shows, because that's kind of what they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's supposed to be, anyways.
So, do you have a favorite super show that you've done in the past, or like you have like a favorite match from a super show, and
Ooh, that's a good
like-
question.
or even a top 5.
That's
like
a good
you can even do a top 5. It's like I've got a few of my favorites, but
Ooh, that's a good question, because I'm thinking what I think really the super show that I enjoyed the most. I'm trying to think of like where I was like physically and mentally, and then where the roster was at that point. Ooh, that's a very good one. I would say probably say Toad, Blue Toad Mania 2023,
okay.
because that was the last show on the on 2K23. I figured since it was close enough to before 2K24 came out that it would be the last show of that game, and I was like, yeah, it was perhaps the best production that it could have happened. Now, as for who created the arena, I should probably stress who created most of the arenas that have came out since I started trying to do original names instead of just relying on the WWE names.
The man who just showed up in the chat.
Where is he? Where is he in the chat?
Is it Jose? Right? He's gonna make sure arenas. Or am I wrong on that one?
Oh, there he is. There it is. I see. I couldn't find the chat. There he is. Yeah, it was Jose. Can you see? Blanco. There he is.
Okay.
But he was the one that he didn't just create the arenas, he's also responsible for most of the championship title belts that I have. Like, he's the guy that made them.
Okay.
I got that. So you could say that Jose was on his way.
That.
I don't know if and then you asked me, like, what was my favorite all-time match? Ooh. Well, that's a good one. And it wasn't even on a super show, actually. No, it was just on a normal show. Granted, this was back in the 2K, or actually not 2K. This was back in SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to look for that match and then share it with you guys, because it was I think it was between I forget one of the participants, but the other I know for sure. It featured Pikachu in there.
Really?
Yes, Pikachu. If he was somehow in human form.
Let me quickly disable that on my Twitch. No, just kidding. Is it Pikachu's name? Oh no! No, just kidding. You're good. You're good. I'm joking. I'm joking because I'm messing with odds because I know he's sitting right here.
He's sitting there with his finger on the button.
He's like, he said Pikachu like 3 times.
Not really. This show. No one gets shocked.
Thank God.
He's free this episode.
Yay, freedom!
Yes.
Okay, we do have a question in the chat. It says, question for TJ. Best feud you had in BTW, past and present?
It's a good thing he said past and present, because I didn't always do this via live stream. I used to have to record the matches and then edit them. Yeah, the old-fashioned way.
Oh.
I used to do it that way, and but in the past, I would say the best feud was that's a good one. I would say myself to I was going by my own name, to Jew22, and it was against a guy named Ted. Basically it stemmed off of a feud from Skype, which I know that kind of sounds very childish, but I mean because it kind of was, but
whatever works, man.
But you kind of just go with what you can, but now if you're talking present, like ever since I started doing streams, best feud right now, I would say the most recent feud with I don't know if you guys know who Damian Shelley is.
I've heard of him. Is he the dude who's got the cat lady on the show, right?
Well, that's the cat lady is actually his sis.
His character's sister, yeah. I'm aware of the person.
So yeah, Damian Shelley is the cat boy, the Neckle. And he's in his feud with AJ Cool Kid. And you guys know who he is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, it culminated with a great match in which AJ he finally was able to put down Mr. Shelley. So it does have a happy ending, provided your name is not Damian Shelley, though.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Let's see.
Oh,
All
we
right.
have another question in the chat.
Yep, we have another question. Favorite CAW in BTW in terms of skills, looks, and results in terms of winning?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of one who has the skills, the look, and who had the winning pedigree. Oh, that's a tough one. I would say one of the most decorated champions that we've ever had. And in fact, he was huge in the early days back when I used to record. And most of you guys know who he is outside of wrestling. Bob Barker.
Okay.
Only on BTW can you say that Bob Barker was a decorated champion.
Well, that's because he was like the champ.
Mhm.
I mean, it even has a lore of its own. I mean, I can go on, but I want to make sure I
Mhm. No,
leave enough on the table, if you know what I mean.
well, I mean, lore in wrestling.
Yeah.
Lore in wrestling is a very interesting topic. And each of our shows has their own lore, so that's actually a really good question and topic we could talk about right now, which is for BTW. What is the lore for those who like have never seen your show? Like, let's say somebody walks in brand new, and you've got like a background. Like, if you were doing a background of your Fed, like, what is the lore behind BTW? King of controlling
I
the
would probably
population.
write this in the...
God bless you, Gav.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course you would. No, I would probably have to write this in an audiobook or something. You know those books that you listen to on long train rides and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it as it was founded by my grandfather.
And the narrator is Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, it could be, but it could also be me too. Because at the end of the day, I own the damn thing. So there you go. Because really, does Morgan Freeman even know who I am? No.
I highly doubt he knows who any of us are.
Right.
But
it's just a joke. He's very popular for audiobooks.
Yes, he is. Oh yeah.
So the lore.
So it started back in 1969. Excuse me, and it was started by my grandfather, and he called it big time wrestling. So that's where the BTW stood for back then.
Okay.
Big time wrestling. Because, this was back in the territory days where you could name your promotion that, and it was such on a local level that really there weren't too many lawsuits over that because, some of them were not well known. Outside of maybe Detroit's version of it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking the one from, that featured the original Sheik.
Right.
But it started there, and it wasn't until 3 years later that we had the feud that sparkled the growth of Blue Toad Wrestling, because it started out as a regional promotion in Northern California, and then ever since the feud between Bob Barker and Mr. Rogers, it skyrocketed in popularity, and it just grew incrementally, but it grew. And to make a long story short, it was the feud that made Blue Toad Wrestling or Big Time Wrestling what it was up to that point. And it culminated in 87. Because that's when the feud between them, between Mr. Rogers and Bob Barker ended finally. It's 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
But that was what got it started. And but in terms of where I come in, I took over in 2011 because that's when my actual channel in real life started.
Okay.
And it just went from there. So there you go. Alright.
Odds or Samurai, do either of you have questions for
Oh,
TJ?
actually, I do, but this is mostly just me personally because I know I asked you this in private, but I know, like, for your show, you usually have like a whole lot of like belts from all across different promotions. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why do that? Why have like
Why so
belts from
many?
like TNA and New Japan or whatever? Just belts from all over the
Basically,
place.
I know. In any other context, if this wasn't if I didn't have as many people watching the show from a streaming point, I probably wouldn't use them. I probably would not have been using them. But people would suggest things, and I was like, well, if people want that, then that's what they'll get. So it's more so fueled by the fans, not so much myself. Because if it was by myself, then okay, cool. But no, it's something that the fans would request for. Not everybody, but just like I had at least two people ask for, say, the Total Nonstop Action Wrestling Championship
Okay.
on several occasions. So it's more so the fans, not so much the But I'm not blaming the fans by any stretch. It's just
Well,
You
it's
just think
like
that pretty much like because you have so many people, they need stuff to fight for. So basically, just bring in as much as you can.
yeah. Although I am happy to tell you that I am gonna be consolidating some titles because, well, I'll probably save that as an explanation. But the only thing I will say is that I have a new championship and I'm gonna consolidate some titles. So
So
we're
basically, you're just
gonna
gonna
reduce,
okay.
reduce. We're gonna be reducing in a little bit.
All right, cool. There is actually one other question, but this is more another personal thing. In this kind of world of wrestling, we all kind of have like that one or two or whatever, however many people we would like have that dream match with or dream feud, whatever it is. For you,
Yeah.
as Tiju22, who would that be? And who'd be your dream
Going
feud, I guess?
Dream feud. Ooh. It has to be someone that I respect as a wrestler, but want to feud as a character.
Okay.
That's a good question. I would say, like, if I wanted to find out who the most macho guy was, it would be Macho Man,
Okay.
Randy Savage. But if I
All
wanted
right.
to
All right.
fight, but if I wanted to go for, actually, I don't know if that will work, but,
I was like, just as
or
in,
if
I
I
was
wanted
looking for
to,
the call answer. Okay. But the Macho Man's a respectful
or,
answer.
yeah, or I could go against the Game, Triple H, since he was my most hated heel back when I first started out. So I would have
Okay.
said Triple H. So there you go.
okay. Hmm.
So there you go.
Now, what about the CAW side? Like, is there anybody in, well, CAW, digital wrestling, whatever it is there anybody you'd want to fight?
In terms of who I haven't, that's a good question. If I had to pick somebody from SCD, that's a good question.
Okay.
Ooh.
I don't know if you still have him. His name was Chris Knight, I think.
I do have Chris Knight, but he's on Ring of Iron.
Oh, well,
Wait, you
if
have
I had to
Chris
pick,
on.
if I still had to pick him,
Hold on. You have Chris on Ring of Iron?
Yes, I do.
Why is he in your NXT? He should be on your Monday Night Raw.
yeah. Well,
Beetle, he's
well,
a absolute he's a legend. You would expect a legend to be training the youngsters.
Good point. I guess I could see that. All right, I'm gonna stand back.
but yeah. So I would say yes. Chris Knight would be my pick.
Gotcha.
And then if I had to
I
pick
was like,
from Odds' side, on the other hand, I would say either Wilson Hammett to find out who is stronger, the lion or the tiger. I would be the tiger, by the way. Or I could just beat up on Harvey Gibson and just get him over with.
Wow. I love that answer.
So I'll
I
so I'll
do
leave it
too.
there. I'll leave it there.
I love the way like his answers were all odds as cause.
Like, I don't need to fight anybody from Octane. It's totally fine. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Or I can fight. Oh no, wait! I already did. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Kelly Mavericks, but I already fought him.
You already fought Kelly, and you already fought Jesus. So you've already fought my two biggest heels. I would say a fight that I would like to see you have at some point
Yeah.
would, let's see, if I had anybody who could fight you from my Fed, I'm kind of interested to see what would happen if you clashed with like a James Mack or who's another big name that would be an interesting matchup to see. Honestly, TJ versus Delvin would be an interesting match too.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think that's actually happened yet, has it?
No, it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think so.
TJ Delvin would be a very interesting match to see. And J Dog, welcome to the show.
Hey, J Dog.
Welcome.
Hey, what's up, J-Dog?
I'll round it out the question. Like I say, I rounded out the like what I would say from the people on my roster in total. I honestly would want to see TJ if he were to sit back in the ring. I would want to see him go against Adam Peace. Shout out my friend Adam Rage.
Adam Peace.
Sure, I
Freaking
can
hell.
fight him.
Adam Peace, aka Rage, if he decided to go the way of Joe Gacy.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be war and peace.
There will be war and peace.
There will only be war.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of good questions in this.
And Adam Peace's promo will be him quoting from the book War and Peace.
Cool.
But anyway,
Okay. All right. Odds, do you have any questions for our esteemed guest?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We all stream. When was the stream where you realized you were starting to get the hang of streaming and interacting with your audience?
in terms of a date or just
Around the time when for streaming you started to realize I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Oh, well, I mean, I can give you a date, a time, and and something like that. Like it wasn't until I want to say it was August or September of 2019, I believe. Or I'm sorry, 2018, my bad. This was during the 2K18 days.
Okay.
As we were about to approach the 2K19 days. But it was during that time I was like, yeah, it was during that time that I was like, you know what, this is so much fun than just recording and uploading it, because before that's what I used to do. And there's enough interest there. And one of the people that was there when it first started was Jose Blanco, for better and for worse sometimes. But no, he was there, and so was brother Brandon, and then of course everybody else came later on. But Jose was one of the earlier ones. And Jose in 2K18, 2K19, well, mostly 2K18. That Jose Blanco is so much different to what he looks like now. It's not even funny. Because Jose Blanco back then was closer to Eddie Guerrero because he had that build. Because he was a high flyer, was Jose. But now, of course, he's put more meat on the bone. Jose used to be skinny.
Okay.
But that was kind of the turning point of like, yes, I can do this. So yeah, thank you, Odds, for that question.
No problem.
All right. Ooh. Yeah.
All right, so
I mean, there were some good questions in the chat, though.
yeah,
Anyway,
we did have a few. We did have a few good questions.
Sorry
let's
about that.
see. If you had to describe, this is from Jose. If you had to describe his call in one word, what would it be, and how do you describe him out of call?
One word.
Yeah, one word.
One word for both
He's
you
crazy.
and then.
Baby, he's crazy. No, I'm sorry.
Possibly.
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jose, but you know, sometimes he can be crazy.
He really is.
But that's just what makes Jose Blanco stand out. If he wasn't so crazy, he probably would have gotten lost in the shuffle, and then he would have ended up like most other CAWs when they get let go. Creative has nothing for him. But
Oh no!
that's the worst.
We
That's the worst
we
spot
wish
to
you
be
well
in.
in your future endeavors.
Yes, but no, seriously. If one of your CAWs is in that position of creative has nothing for him, that's always a bad sign.
Yeah.
No, it's all good there. Sean is always saying triple beat.
Yeah.
I don't know why Sean does that. Sean with a U. I have another Sean, but his name has a W in it, so I got to be sure to
So
specify
this
which
is
Sean I'm talking about.
This is a different person,
But yeah.
correct?
Yeah, this is a different person. I
Okay.
just want to make sure that if
Yeah.
you ever see the other Sean, I point him out. But it's all good.
Okay, so this is not the Sean that shows up in your shows. Is what you're saying, correct?
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Because I think he's been trolling us. So bye, Felicia.
Oh.
Anyway,
Damn.
continue. No, I'm not tolerating that kind of stuff. He's been trying to grab attention the entire stream and take away from the interview, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Oh, well. Sorry, Sean. Anyway,
No, don't come in here and
you
be
were
a
going to
troll.
ask the next question, though.
Yes.
You're going to ask the next question, so let's find out what it is.
All right. Well, my next question for you was going to actually be, I was going to turn it around and say, do you have any questions for the three of us?
Ooh. Okay, that's a good one. I guess I can start with Kyle since I was friends with him the longest.
Yeah.
Kyle looked a lot different back then compared to what he looks like now. But back then, he was a big fan of Jacksepticeye. In fact, he was kind of built like him. Why was that?
I'll be honest, I didn't know how to make calls at the time, so literally I was just like, I just grabbed the nearest inspiration, which literally was just Jacksepticeye, and I think I just kept the character at most default, so I was like, oh. Yeah, that's how it works. No. Then I just built off that from there, so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
like I said, it was just basically like I just grabbed the nearest inspiration, which was Jacksepticeye, because I was watching a lot of N60 Sean at the time, so I just basically made the super fan as a wrestler, and then just built away from there, and soon he just evolved from basically just like how I would want to be as a wrestler to then it's just this new character called Kyle Young.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Then he begot tons of children.
There are only 3 of them.
Now, Yeah, I just noticed in the chat, Tenu asked a really good question. Why do I feature WWE superstars on BTW? That's because they've been on the show like ever since I started out. because before, like this was back, this was on the Wii, was SmackDown versus Raw 2011 when I first started out, and it only had 30 spots for them. So back then, I had no other choice but to incorporate those superstars, and that's how they got on the show, and that's how they get on the show from time to time. But yeah, I'll just go with that.
Vito, correct me if I'm wrong. If you remember, I think 30 was the limit just all around in SVR 11, wasn't it?
50.
I think so.
50 was
It
the
sounds
limit
about right.
in the old games. All the way up
Okay,
until until 15, and then when 15 came out, it was 25, which is ridiculous. And then in 16, it was finally 100, and it's been 100 ever since.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about right.
20 could have probably used a 50 limit, just saying, because of how trash 20 was. I think they overdid it. But anyway.
You think?
Yeah, it probably could have used a 25 limit, to be honest, with how crappy that game was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and then a question for odds. How stupid of me. Let's see. Well, so you might have told me the story, but for those who are watching this, how did you become Odds Cornet?
Well, I listened to a lot of Jim Cornette and at the time would quote him during conversations with my friends and
All the time?
during the old streams, and you could see it during my older streams. And during my older streams, I believe it was Monk that dubbed me Odds Cornet.
Probably. That would be my guess.
Knowing Monk, that's probably who was the one that did it.
Yep.
And I've just been Odds
okay.
Cornet ever since.
He has another nickname as
That's cool.
well. He has another nickname as well, too. Odds the Brain Heenan. Because
That's for SPW.
Yep, because he pulls
Because during
all the Heenan shit.
SPW, I do everything I can to be Bobby Heenan.
He does all the Bobby Heenan stuff on SPW. Monk plays the gorilla, he plays Heenan. And I'm just the man in the middle laughing my ass off at both of them.
And it is fun.
Yeah.
Especially fun when I can get Monk to crack up.
Mm-hmm. Because he knows what you're doing, and you're doing it to try and get him
Yes,
to
he
laugh.
does.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh yeah, and then finally a question for Triple Beat himself. So where did you come up with the names Galaxy? What were the other shows?
Galaxy
Pro,
MX,
Galaxy
MXT
Pro.
and Octane. All right. So
Yes.
MXT and Octane kind of come from the same place. And it's not NXT, believe it or not.
Bullshit.
When I was younger, I used to actually compete in online racing games in a motocross game, and there was this tournament place that was called MX Online Tournaments. It was MXOT.
Oh.
MX Online Tournaments. So I would go in, you'd have to sign up. It was on, I was in an Xbox league at the time. So you'd sign up, you'd go in, you'd race your heat race for qualifying. Based on where you finished, they would put you in either the A main, B main, C main, or D main, because they could only do up to 8-man races at the time. So I'd go in, I'd do my qualifying, I'd be put in the main I was in, I'd race it, I'd normally end up in the D or the C main. There was one time I made it in the B main, which was really cool, but that was the only time I ever did that. So that's kind of where the idea for MXT came from. And the original arena that I made, I grabbed a Monster logo. I made the logo from an old MX versus ATV logo when I did it. Like, it was all retro stuff. It all looked like THQ stuff. I even grabbed a THQ logo and put it in the arena, because THQ was who made those games. And
Mm.
I grabbed a THQ logo, I grabbed a Rainbow Studios logo, put them all in the arena. That was how I came up with MXT, or the name for it at least. For Octane,
Cool.
Octane is a type of fuel. It's also like something that's really fast, and I wanted to do a cruiserweight show back in the day because I had Delvin McLeod, who was a cruiserweight of all things. And this is even before 205 Live. I came up with Octane like probably a year before they did 205 Live, which makes me laugh. But I didn't ever post.
I think they
anything
stole
about
your
it.
idea.
Nah, they didn't steal my idea. I didn't post anything about it. You can't steal someone's idea when they don't post anything about it. So, I made Octane.
Yeah, that's true.
I had Octane for a while. It was an all cruiserweight show, and then I slowly added heavyweights in, and the rest is history from there. As far as Galaxy Pro is concerned, I was watching a lot of science fiction. Like, I love science fiction. It's one of my favorite genres. I was watching a lot of Stargate, Farscape, Star Wars, Star Trek, any type of deep space, dark matter. Dark matter led to the creation of Jen Corso. And hell, one of her finisher or her signature is based on the show. The name for the signature, at least. The Raza kick is also based on the show too. It's based on the character she was made, but yeah, it's made after the ship that they were on, because the ship on the show is called the Raza. So that's how Jen got her name. But Galaxy came from my love of like science fiction and just anything outer space. I am a nerd when it comes to talking about quasars, black holes, supernovas, whatever you want to talk about, space related. I'm a nerd with all that stuff.
Nerd alert!
Yes, thank
Space
you.
Oddity, maybe?
Thank you for the nerd alert. I actually even made a character based off of him, of all people.
David Bowie?
No. Austin Powers. I have a character.
Oh.
I have a character named Michael Powers.
Yeah, I think literally he's just basically just a fusion of Michael Myers and Austin Powers.
Yep. That's how I got the name. I literally used his face too for the character. Gave
So
him
basically, it made Austin Powers and just changed it. It's like it's legally distinct Austin Powers.
I made it obvious who it was. You know, I made this. It's not as blatant as Axel Foley. Gee, I wonder where I got that from. When you look at his jacket, he's got the frickin' Detroit Lions jacket on. Totally not the Beverly Hills Cop. But I even gave what's Michael Powers a judo chop. His finisher is the judo chop. It's literally a chop. The judo chop. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I got off on a tangent there. I went into squirrel mode. I'm sorry, TJ.
He does that.
I do that a lot, actually. But yeah, Galaxy Pro was my love of science fiction. Octane was, I wanted to do a fast-paced cruiserweight show, and then MXT was from motocross. And
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got the ideas for all the shows.
Oh man, lots of other good questions in the chat, but it's your show. Go for it.
Let's see what the chat has to ask. Do you have a specific question that stands out to you, TJ?
All right, let me see. Let me go back to. Let's see, what was the first one? I think one of them was best cross promotion super card that I did.
Yep, that was that's
So,
one that popped up.
I think what he means is, well, this was one of the older questions. But anyway,
Well, do you have have you done cross promotions with other feds before, and do you have a favorite or?
I've done a few. I can tell you the ones I have done, and I'll tell you my favorite. Like I've done some with. I did one with the House of Black, which is an umbrella of 3 promotions actually. Blood Moon Wrestling Federation. You guys might have heard of them.
Yes.
CRW and then
Chaos Regional Wrestling.
Yep.
At Chaos Regional Wrestling and Anarchy Pro Wrestling, which was APW. So I did a show with them. I also did NWA, which is ran by our good friend Dragonheart.
Mm-hmm.
And last but certainly not least, I've done plenty of shows with my good friend AJ with his promotion, Cyberspace Federation. But out of all of those promotions, I would say my favorite. I would say probably. I would probably go with. I would probably go with the House of Black promotion, cross promotion, and this was towards the end of the 2K23 season. So that's one I will say.
Okay.
Right.
That's fair enough. But actually, let me take that question, kind of piggyback off it for a second. Is there a promotion you'd want to do a crossover one that they haven't done one before with?
If you'd have asked me this like in the past, I probably would have said SCD at one point.
As I'm guessing, what's changed? When you say that makes me think that you've changed your mind about that.
Well, that's because I don't have most of your characters, or at least most of the characters that are on your show.
And in fairness, though, usually I do usually run my stuff or at least I try to run my stuff pre-recorded. So I try to tell a story. Meanwhile, you're just live.
Yeah, to be fair, but there was a time when you did yours live, and if that was the case, probably I would have done one with you.
Yeah,
and I would have loved it. I really would have thought it would have went well, but who knows? It's never too late.
It's never too late. Also, I will say I may or may not be trying to do something live to try and go back to my roots if I can actually get off my ass and do something about it.
It's too late to apologize.
It's also something that Beetle may or may not have with some belts for. Also a certain friend by the name of Gav. Chicago Mid Wrestling. I mean, what?
Kyle's streams. Or Kyle announces he's doing a live stream. Kyle's costs. After 10,000 years, we're free!
I mean, in fairness, though, I'm sorry for going for a sidetrack for a second, but a buddy of mine did ask me, if I do miss, doing things live. And I said I did, mostly because I'm I do like the ability just to sit back, just watch the AI just do its thing. Mm-hmm. But there's that small part of my brain that just, every time I'm ooh, I get split and destroyed, no, shut up.
Well,
I want to, but... Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, TJ.
No, I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to try to guess what it is. I could be wrong. It could be something that is out of your control, which you can't control. So there's always that problem. I mean, that's something you can't do with live streaming.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, though.
I just personally want to live stream, but then the problem is that when I try to do it, I'm my brain does want to go right into story mode and try to tell a story off of whatever I'm on screen. And I'm just no, just sit back and relax, man. What are you doing?
Well, it would be nice if they had a story creator like they had in the older.
That would take so much. That would take so much out of what I need to do, so I can be okay, I know what I want to do. Let me just sit down and actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, very sorry about that, Tenu, if I didn't answer most of your questions there. I do feel bad.
And I'll answer one that he had for me later. So, off stream.
Sure. Off stream? Alright, cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Talk about that. talking about that. We're running through my list right now. We're all getting quiet here. The silence is killing me. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, I got hijacked for a second for stuff I was doing.
Oh, you're good.
Kyle went rah 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 and killed the moon. How dare you, Kyle? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. we like to have fun here with each other. If you guys haven't figured that out, we'll mess with each other.
We
all
do
the time.
we do that all the time. It's funny like that.
So let's see. Talk.
As Beetle reads.
Shh. Let's see.
This is a reading tutorial. Let's get started.
Oh, we do have a dad joke. Leather is great for sneaking around because it's made of hide.
Oh my god.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, this is not. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, your best.
The good one was also.
All right, this one was a question for TJ, but I'm going to make it for all four of us.
Ooh.
Your,
TJ go first. He's the main star.
Yep, TJ gets to go first on this one. Your best creator wrestler that you have made, past and present.
Of all time. Past and present. Oh.
Ooh.
Gosh, that's a good one. I've made a lot of creative wrestlers. One would easily say, "Oh, you'll probably pick himself." Well, true, but the only thing is, not everybody knows what yours truly is. You know, like when you make yourself, it's like, well, of course anybody could do that, but most creative wrestler I've ever made was back in the 2K, or not 2K, but the SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 days. This was back before I even had the ability to download, because this was on the Wii, the Wii version, the Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
So I actually had to make it by myself. So really, the most creative that I've ever had done were the Mario Brothers.
Okay.
Because because then it was like all I had to do was just, make them look like twins, maybe make Luigi a little bit taller, but otherwise they are the Mario Brothers. I'm like, but if you want a woman, on the other hand, I got one for you guys.
Okay.
And it just so happens to be based on a real life friend of mine.
Okay.
Some of you may know her, some of you may not, but for those who don't know, her name is Melissa, and her gimmick is that she is a big fan of Mario, hence the name Mario Girl.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, as soon as you started saying it, like saying something like, "Oh yeah, this is based on a real life friend," I'm like, he's gonna say Melissa.
Yeah, it is Melissa. But yeah, she's the Mario Girl, and I gave her pink overalls because she likes pink. Her design has changed a little bit from time to time, but for the most part, the pink overalls are the constant, along with the pink hat.
Okay.
So that's all I will leave it at.
I guess I'll go next. For me, my favorite creator wrestler that I've made of all time. Jeez, that is tough. I've got over 50, so that's a very tough question.
I know.
Let's see, if I had to pick like one, the one that I've kind of like been enjoying the most recently, like just putting her in matches and watching them play out, and just watching how, or putting him in matches and watching them play out. My favorite of all time right now is Arthur. Arthur Duncan. Arthur Duncan, my former undisputed champion. He is my.
No, he was a she before.
Shut up! I was about to say Jin, and then I was like, well, also Arthur too. Jin and Arthur are probably my two favorites. For the girls, Jin, Corso, and for the guys, Arthur Duncan. Arthur is. I built his moveset from scratch. Found his face. Found a really good face for him. And then he doesn't play around. He's all business. He doesn't go to the top rope at all. And he's a cruiserweight, which is almost unheard of. Cruiserweights always like to go to the top rope, and I've got him to the point where he doesn't use it hardly ever. And when he does, it looks so stupid, it's hilarious. So, Arthur Duncan is my favorite, probably of all time. And then Jen Corso right there with him for the women. And shout out to Monk for the update that he did, because she is he fixed her face, and yeah. I'm just like, oh wow, this is really cool. Yeah. He also fixed a little bit of her attitude. I was like, oh, I didn't realize I didn't have that set right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next. Okay, I know the question was the best call we've ever made, I guess.
Yeah.
Overall. If I was going by completely off of accolades alone, that would probably go to Kyle by a fucking landslide, because the dude's got a long list of them. But the problem is that I don't know if he's really my best call. The call I feel like I've had the most fun using. If I had to go for that one, it actually might have to go to Jason, honestly.
Oliver?
Yeah, because it's honestly kind of fun to kind of put the challenge on him, because he has that. I gave myself the challenge of never cursing with him, or at least keeping it to a minimum.
I mean, that makes sense. That's what I do with Zach too. Since they have a Power Ranger gimmick, I was like, you can't curse. You have your gimmick. You don't cuss. You don't cuss with your gimmick. If you drop the gimmick, sure, go for it. Cuss all you want. Welcome.
But I like having Jason around, because Jason is one of those characters I can also mess around with and figure out what I can do with him.
Yeah.
His moveset I had to get a little bit of help with, because he wasn't winning too much. But I found out why, because he was basically going for the moveset that I had on him was it was a body and arm moveset that Eddie helped me out with. But I should say the Eddie Reed, shout out to the Godfather. Dude, he gave me the moveset of it's a body and an arm moveset, but then I was the dumbass that put a head move as a finisher.
Okay.
But I figured a way around it, so.
Okay.
On the female side, you know what, I'll just say it like this. I don't really know if there is a female call that I really dug too much. Except for, I think maybe? Well, right now, Hannah is one of the more surprising, characters, because Miss Tag Team Wrestler is suddenly a double champion.
Don't know where she'd ever do that.
Looking at you, me too. Looking at you.
Not my fault. She did it live.
He's looking at you, kid.
Hey, I'm trying to get myself in that mindset of doing things live. That's what I'm doing for Galaxy and MXC next season. So I'm I'm just doing everything one shot right now. What happens, happens.
You try to get yourself in that mindset. Just whatever happens, happens. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever happens, happens. And I'm just going to let it happen, and we'll go from there.
And then you're just but then you're looking at it you're still, there's still a little part of your brain that's I didn't want you to win.
I didn't want you to do it.
But if I had to, maybe pick one, keep it the Power Rangers theme. I'm actually kind of happy with how May's starting to rise up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say you don't beat a future world, oh, not future world, like a future Hall of Famer
On her
and you
debut.
don't. Yeah, on her debut, she wins not only that, but also wins a title on her debut. You don't do that and not be tipped for great things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
well,
But I've been look, but also like I would say like Cal's also fun to watch. Akira's also fun to watch. I just wish that they would both win a bit more, but that's just me.
but you can only pick one. We'll say two.
I'll say Jason just overall.
All right. And now we pass the baton to Odds.
We've used Baton Pass. It was super effective.
Yes.
Most people would think I would pick Chris because of his legacy, or most people would think American Phoenix because of how much fun I have with him as a heel. No, the funnest call I have that I make is actually Tiger Dragon,
Oh
Yeah.
because he brings me back to when I was originally making him all those years ago in SmackDown versus in the old SmackDown versus Raw 09, 8, 08, a little of 07.
Uh-huh.
It brings me back to that era with his character with him, because he is so simplistic and easy to make, but it's always fun to give him a little bit of a modern twist and keep him going all this time. And be surprised of how much he still works as a character.
And is still continuing to get over.
Yeah, with a whole new audience.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. Like when I mentioned the Mario Brothers, they still get over.
To be fair though, it's the Mario
And
Brothers.
Tiger Dragon. Yeah, that's true.
They've been in,
But Tiger Dragon.
they've been in damn near every Fed.
Okay.
First time I saw the Mario
Tiger
Brothers was when they were in No DQ CAW.
Oh yeah. Well, then again, who has not heard about that?
I believe not you.
I'm raising my
classics.
hand. I'm raising my hand as everybody's looking around for who hasn't heard about that. I'm pointing at
Well,
myself.
if anyone wants to catch up on No DQ CAW, there is a YouTube channel called No DQ CAW Vault that pretty much has a vault of everything No DQ CAW related
I'll have to look that up at some point.
from that old school federation.
Okay. One final question for the man of the hour. What was your introduction to all of this? CAW wrestling. What was your first?
CAW wrestling / digital wrestling. What was your first experience?
Hey, AJ Colkid. First
Oh,
wrestling game.
yeah.
First wrestling game, and then what got you into e-fetting?
Well, first wrestling game I ever played was WrestleMania 2000 on the Nintendo 64.
My man.
Hell yeah.
I still have that cartridge.
I mean,
I
he
still
looks
have
like
it.
The Rock. Yeah, he looks like The Rock. He talks like The Rock. He's got the people's eyebrow.
You got the people's elbow. That's gimmick infringement. That ain't right.
Hey, right.
But no, man.
That commercial is the
that was
greatest
my
thing
first
ever.
game.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was funny. But no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then But what really got me into the e-fetting really was, and I already told Odds this, and I know he's going to probably groan and shudder, but it really was because of Story Mode Federation, SMF.
Okay.
A lot of people have
If you don't know
gotten into it from it.
Because really, like, there weren't too many CAW leagues before then, and even since or at around that time, that incorporated not just the created fighters, but also even the WWE people.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he did.
There was only a handful, and he was the only one of his kind at that point.
Well, yeah, that's true, and then more people came out with, but the truth of the matter was that he was like, and by he I mean Super Dingoes. That's the name of the guy who run the show.
Shout out to him, legend in this hobby.
Yeah, also goes by the name of Bob Ross, not the painter, but the guy who runs the show.
Mm-hmm. His version of Jim Ross.
Who Bob Ross was. Yeah, his version of Jim Ross. I'm Bob Ross, Jim Ross's brother's uncle's cousin, sister, roommate. And I mean, that's how he would introduce himself.
Wow.
And then I would always pick up things like whenever he would do a show over the years up until SVR 2011, 2010, I think somewhere around there. That's kind of where I stopped, but from SmackDown versus Raw 2007, I think, up until then, I would always pick up things on what he would do. He would have recurring gags, like, say, for example, Randy Orton, when he does the Randy Orton pose. He would, Randy Orton would do the pose, and then in the background, it would go, "Hey, nothing you can say!" And the song would just play in the background, and anybody who was within feet of witnessing the Orton pose would faint. It's crazy. That's just one recurring gag. I can go on, but I would pick up little recurring gags and then see okay, where do I come up with some gags for my show? I actually got one. So what do I do on my show? What happens when somebody gets hit in the nuts? That's.
You get all high pitched.
I would say.
Oh my god!
No. Actually, what I would say is, and let's say if Kyle gets hit in the nuts, I would say, and Kyle Young will not be having any kids tonight.
And not any more kids.
Heaven forbid he needs to stop having children.
He has an entire herder. Well, he has a village of them, not a herd.
Or
nah, you got you've got the fucking town.
Yeah. Or one other recurring gag that I do is whenever somebody does the neck snap, the way that Mr. Perfect did back in the day, if you remember that move.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody does the neck snap any better than Mr. Perfect. I would then say, and the neck snap, shades of Mr. Perfect. That's how I would say it.
Okay.
Whenever somebody else does it. So, I mean, those are just a few other, that's just some of the recurring gags. I can go on, but I think that's kind of where I got the point. Oh, and also let's not get started with odds baby.
Odds baby.
Dun, 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 dun.
And then I would play the piano riff. Of course, that's
yes, Blaze. We know how much you hate that term.
Caw.
Also, you spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round.
Baby.
That was probably the best part of your show, by the way, Blaze. Sorry. I had to say something real quick. Oh, he didn't realize that Kelly's new theme was based off Shawn Michaels, and he was singing along with it, and all of a sudden they got the boy toy part, and you hear this, boy toy? Wait a minute!
Yeah, wait a minute!
He's like, hold on, you're just now picking that up?
Oh. Yeah, because, I'm not even going to go there. Not going to go there.
Me and Beetle had fun with that let me just go behind the scenes for a little bit. I came up with the idea because I'm like, wait a minute. Kelly is a heel on Blaze's show. Who does Blaze not like the most? Let's do Beetle, you should do a theme song for Kelly that is Shawn Michaels' theme song. He is a heel that would make him even more hated on that show.
Like I said, you can replace that song with his original song that he had if you want to, Blazed. I'm totally fine with that. But I'm not against it at all.
That's how it was created. Because we knew it would piss Blaze off something fierce.
Actually, when we turned him face, I almost DM'd him and said, you can swap out to his original theme again. Because I thought you knew already. That's the funny part. I thought you knew that it was the Shawn Michaels theme. Anyway.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We know, but he just turned heel when the idea came up.
Ah, yes, the Ice TJ thing.
Uh-huh.
Being smart and changing the subject.
I just love doing that. It's like, I just needed something like what does Blaze, or what do I have that Blaze doesn't have? It's the piano riff. And that's kind of where I got that from.
Blaze.
But
okay. So it was the Nintendo 64 was the original game, and then the e-fetting came from
Story Mode Federation.
SMF.
SMF. Story
Yeah,
Mode
SMF.
Okay.
Which around that period of time, there was SMF, there was UWO, I believe, and SCA and SCAW and DWA. Technically, out of the bunch, the only one that's still around is SCAW. It's still around. Lone Star's still doing it.
It is
insane.
That's great for him. And
it is insane that he's still doing it.
Either he must have a really good job, or hey, if you could still do it, go for it, man. I'm not gonna judge.
If you still have passion to do this, with how long he's been doing it, it has to be going. It can't be 20 years now, but it has to be somewhere near close. Because it was like 08 when I like 2008, 2007 when I started watching. He was in like season 3 at that point. And he's still doing it.
You would have thought by now. Yeah, that's insane. So I got to give him props for that. So cool.
Oh yeah, I give him props too. It's like, heaven forbid, there is no way I could do a fed that long.
Long period of time.
Yeah. And how do you keep up with ideas?
You either have to have an engaged audience, like he probably still does his like when he records, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the show has not changed. It's still the same stuff. The only thing that's changed now is that his shows are when he uploads the shows, they're premieres.
Okay, that sounds about right. The thing is, Lo, if I was still doing it recording style, I honestly probably would have phoned it in. I would have just ended it off, and there's no way I would be doing this if I was still doing it recording style.
Yeah.
But no, I find this to be more enjoyable, and in fact, I don't like being able to stream live. You have an engaged audience. But really, it all ends when either the audience isn't there anymore, or you just don't. Or what's the word? The thrill is gone.
Yeah.
Before it completely disappears off our screen, Joker did have a question, and it was for all four of us.
Okay.
What is the best storyline that all of you did?
Ooh.
Okay, I'll have to think about this one.
So I
Hmm.
have mine already, so I mean I can go first if you guys want, or we
I
can.
think me and Beatles are.
Go for it.
I think me and Beatles
Go
is
for it.
universal.
Oh,
Okay.
you mean
I'm still thinking of mine.
you mean the one that we always talk about all the time? That one? The never-ending
Yes.
story? Good lord.
Yeah, the never-ending story that keeps going.
Oh god. Actually, mine is a different variation on that. It includes a small bit of the never-ending story, but my favorite story that I've ever done was actually in 2K20.
Yeah, really. Do tell. I'm kind of having a feeling what you're gonna pick.
Oh, mine was in 2K23. It involves Kyle.
Uh-huh. I know exactly where you're going.
I know he's had to say.
It involves Kyle. It involves Phoenix. It involves Kelly Mavericks. It also involves one Delvin McLeod. It was his heel turn. That whole storyline, him turning heel, slashing Kyle's tire at the start of the season. Now this story went from the start of the season to the end of the season. It starts with Delvin slashing Kyle's tire. He blames it on Jesus, who is a known bad guy. Jesus de Violencia, one of my most hated villains. Delvin blames it on Jesus. Kyle believes him. They get to Stars and Stripes. And it's
I thought he blamed it on Phoenix.
No, he blamed it on Jesus. I forgot what he had Phoenix doing. But he had Phoenix doing something. Delvin and Phoenix had that weird small alliance for a minute there. But they were working behind Kyle's back essentially. And Delvin ends up helping Phoenix, I think, win a belt or something off of Kyle, or I forgot how it worked, but Delvin cashed in on Kyle, ruined the unification of the Universal and Undisputed titles, and Delvin took the Undisputed title off of Kyle. He goes on this heel run. He has his own faction that almost Bloodline like in a way. I tried not to do Bloodline as best as I could, but a lot of people a lot of the guys in 5-star were like, "Oh yeah, that's Fiery especially." Fiery was like, "Oh yeah, that's a Roman type run." I was like, "Damn." And then even after I turned
Fiery's doing that just to mess with you.
I know. Even after I turned him face, everyone was like, "Man, you should have left him as heel. He was great heel." But
Which I will say it now. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you with how Delvin's first heel run went.
Yeah, his first heel run was shit. Anyway,
I am so proud of you for this heel run.
yeah, that one was so much fun to do, and he got so much heat out of it. It wasn't even funny. The only way that I could turn him face was literally to have his wife have children. Like, have her tell him that she's pregnant and have him go, "Oh shit, I've been making all these mistakes." Like, that was the only way I could literally think of how to turn him face again, because he was that far gone. Like, he would still be heel right now, probably, if I didn't do that. And the entire... I'd have my own Bloodline storyline right now, where they're probably pulling some BMH crap, and every time somebody gets a title shot, guess what? All the guys are there jumping you. But I ended it with Delvin got thrown off of a ledge. I think it was Killshot that threw him off the ledge and put him through a light post. And Delvin got really injured, and when he had his match, or he was supposed to have a match against Trevor Bell, he walks out, says, "I can't do it, blah blah blah." I'm gonna wait until I'm fully healed. Or no, he walked out to allow Bell to challenge him, and Bell said, when you're fully healed, I'll challenge you. Well, Delvin being Delvin. Anybody in the back? Anybody else in the back want to walk out here and challenge me? And of course, who did we have do it, odds? The never-ending story. Phoenix walks out, challenges him. Match starts. Low blow. Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. That was pretty much the end of the story. But it was fun to do because I really had a lot of audience interaction whenever he was on screen.
Wow.
The crowd would go crazy when he was on screen. I was just like, oh, this is great. A reaction is a reaction. Right, Rex? Rex knows about reactions. A reaction is a reaction, right, Rex? Boo! It's Rex! It's Radio Rex! Oh, no! Oh, no, I said your name 3 times.
My favorite is very simple that I've ever done. It's Phoenix Delvin. The never-ending story. So many twists and turns. 3 Stages of Hell. Mask versus belt.
Yep.
Phoenix had a mask at one point. Phoenix first turning heel.
Oh, God.
Betty costing American penis.
Miracle penis.
And shut up,
All
Rex.
the stuff that Phoenix and Delvin did. There's no topping it. The tables matches, just the twists and turns of the entire thing. Ladder matches. It'll never not be fun. Anytime those two come back together. And fight.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun when we're finally streaming it. But the in between, and Odds knows this. We both know this very well. We've both complained about this, and I'm going to bring it up because why the hell not? The in between is I need Delvin to win this match. Delvin, I don't feel like working today. Phoenix, I'm just going to win the match really quick. What the hell?
Those two have a bad habit of whenever someone wants them to win, they will refuse to win a match.
Yes.
And they will be difficult.
Yes. The few that we...
It's like, you two have done this run around how long?
Yeah. And the few that we did with them, we were working together on this. So something would happen on Octane, and then the next week, something would happen on CPW Impact, and then the next week, something would happen on Octane, and we just bounced off of each other for the entire thing, all the way to the end. And that's
enjoyable.
Yeah, it was really. That was a fun feud to do when we were actively doing it. It took a lot. And it took both of us texting and messaging each other and pretty much saying, he won't do the job, bro. I know, just do one more match. That's all you gotta do. Just do one more match. You got it. All you need is the outcome. One more match. And it was both of us all the time. All the time. How many matches did it take you to get that outcome? 5. How about you? 4.
How many do you? 10.
Yeah. 10 this time, goddammit.
These two won't quit.
Yep.
The funnest match out of the entire bunch for me was the 3 Stages of Hell because everything had to be done right, and both of the matches were one and dones. The Iron Tables match, the singles match, all had to be done one and done. There could not be multiple takes.
I would say,
especially since the Hell in a Cell match was going to be edited.
Yeah. And
during the edit, the AI did the most best thing in the world. I hit the signature. Anybody that doesn't know about edited matches, I take the 2 controllers off, so the AI does the finisher. He hits the Trouble in Paradise. 1, 2, Phoenix kicks out. He goes for another one, sets it up. He hits it. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that is the most perfect ending I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My favorite was actually one of Phoenix's victories, and that was the TLC match at the first High Octane of 2019 or 2K19, where Betty walked out and sided with Phoenix, and you just see Delvin and Betty arguing at ringside. Phoenix sneaks up behind him, hits the All-American Slam, which is the angle slam, and pins Delvin.
Olympic Slam, who asked?
Yeah, hits it on him, climbs the ladder, and grabs the belt.
Yes, for the fun fact of the people in the audience, you know how I talked about SCAW before in the past? That's where I got the All-American Slam from.
Oh.
The All-American Slam is the angle slam done by Captain America in SCAW. So when I made American Phoenix, I'm like, I'm going to do a callback. Angle Slam, All-American Slam. I'm going to call it the All-American Slam.
Huh.
And if you watch early American Phoenix matches in the edited show before he turned heel, he was also doing the All-American Splash, which was like a Superfly splash.
Okay.
So I've done SCAW callbacks a long time, and Phoenix is and the one with the All-American Slam is still there. Yep. Phoenix still does it.
All right.
I guess it's me next then, huh?
Yes, sir. You are up, Kyle.
Of all the stories I've actually done on my show, and the ones that actually have gotten like a satisfactory ending, I'll say, I'd say the one that was actually the most proud of how I did it was CAW versus Leon for Ring of the Sky 1. The whole story building into it is like CAW didn't want to hurt his son, and meanwhile Leon's trying to prove himself. It basically takes Akira and, at the time, general manager Sophia Winters essentially twisting CAW's arm and saying, yeah, sorry, Akira's booked this match, you can't get out of this one, etc. And basically it just builds up to this idea that just Leon trying to prove that he can hang with the main event talent. Which basically led to Kyle and Leon both fighting at Ring of the Sky. Leon wins, and then basically Kyle goes off. He's giving Leon his respect. And then it just sets up into another storyline that I did alright with. Wish I did a little bit better, but
Okay.
If you're curious, it's the one where basically Kyle's his brother-in-law decides to come around and tries to kill him, but that's a story for another day.
Okay. El Senor Toad, we pass the baton to you.
We used Baton Pass.
Well, let's see. The best storyline that I ever did. Ooh, that's a tough one because I'm trying to think. Like, I would say, I would say the best storyline that I did was. This was back when I was on the Wii, like with with the WWE 12, 13, those games back when they still had Story Creator.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those storylines was, I think it was 2K. It was WWE 12. Now that I think about it, it was. I mentioned the story between myself and a guy named 10, and that story was where, and it's sad that you can't do this now, but back then you could set up a scene in the garage and pretty much pull a Stone Cold Survivor Series 1999 situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know.
Yep.
Yep.
I remember that cutscene.
That's where the guy gets run over by a car. And obviously, if I was going to get any sort of heat out of this, it had to be me who got ran over by a car.
Mm-hmm.
By 10. Of course, 10, like, the character known as 10 actually had a name. It was just his initials spelled, T-E-N. His initials. I just was like, all right, I'll just call you 10 just so I don't use your actual name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was building that storyline and when I was building his character. But yes, the fact that I got ran over by a car, and then eventually I won the feud, but I mean, of course, I had to, in one match, I had to quote unquote do the job, brother. That one was easy. All I had to do was control 10 for one of those matches, and then basically beat the crap out of my own character. And then whatever happened in the third match happened, and it just so happened that I won. So there you go. But that was it. I know, very simple, but sometimes even the best storylines are the most simple.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And for those wondering, yes, there was a cutscene where you actually dodged the oncoming car.
Yep.
I've done a few of those scenes.
All right.
The one I used a bunch was, well, a few times was, I used a lot of the backstage ones, but I also used a few times for promos was what they would call the date, where you were like in a restaurant.
Oh, I know the way you're talking about.
Uh-huh. That's how you would set up promos. Promos in in unique places. It was very fun back in the day.
Yeah. It was.
Wish we still had those.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. Yeah. That sounds about right. I like that. I just wish. Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp there. No, I just wish that there was a way you could do it.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they had the story creator, because I honestly think that if you could do that, like, think of how many storylines you can come up with. It's crazy.
Oh, I could do a lot if I could have story creator.
Uh-huh.
Especially if I just download everybody's calls. I could actually just book an entire SCD show and just be able to do as I wish.
It would make editing so much easier.
Because then you could just basically edit all your segments on there. You could theoretically just like do the matches outside of Story Creator and just edit it all together.
Not just that, you could easily just do an entire thing in Story Designer where where it's all the cutscenes, and you would be able to play them all back to back, and then in one video you'd be able to separate them all. When going into Share Factory, you'd be able to just separate them all because it's just one video you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I miss the thing that I miss about like Story Designer and whatnot is they had branching stories, and you could branch and then have it go from a branch right back to the original and keep going. So like if you're doing a show and you're setting it up and you have a win-loss scenario, right? You could have a loss happen and have a cutscene, or you could have a win happen and have a cutscene, and then it goes to the next match. Or it goes to a backstage cutscene and then goes to the next match. Like, I liked that about the old Story Designer, because you could actually you could do an entire stream pretty much, or an entire show, and have branching storylines for each. Or you could tell everybody, in order to get the cutscene, you have to win this match. Which I know I used to do a lot. I was very much a play to beat to get the cutscene person.
No, I could see that. I could see that.
But we've been going for about an hour and a half now. I'd say we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
I guess one last question before we get out of here. Do you your show is called Blue Toad Wrestling? So
Yeah.
I see you've got like you have the Mario influences from there, but like were there any other like big outside influences that led to Blue Toad Wrestling?
Were there any other influences? Yeah, there was. I mean, it all starts with WWE. I mean, because come on,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like you don't become a wrestling fan and not know who the WWE or when I started, the World Wrestling Federation was when before it changed its name, but really like when you thought like even when WCW or World Championship Wrestling was at its height, really what was the first thing that you thought of when you thought of wrestling? You thought of the World Wrestling Federation. So it all starts there.
Okay.
And you saw all the crazy stuff that you saw in the Attitude Era because I started there. And then some of the and then some of the stuff that they did like in SmackDown versus Raw. And then let's see. I mean, and then of course you have your favorite movies like you would see all the Disney films. You would always see the um you would see some of the other films like I'm trying to think of a film where there's an antagonist and you have to beat them.
Mhm. Oh, Blaze, don't hate
Uh,
on the old cutscenes just because you do live shows.
well, but I mean, but really though, movies and television. I mean, like it also helped with that when it comes to ideas and things of that nature.
Okay. All right.
hmm
And then you had said at the beginning your show is kind of like a big game show, right? Like
And that's enough. Good. Hey, I'm happy I'm happy that you brought it up because I was also a big fan of game shows, especially The Price is Right, and then like I didn't get to see Let's Make a Deal when it was at its heyday in the '70s. That wasn't until Game Show Network came along and helped with that, but then even when it came back on CBS, um, I was always a big fan of game shows.
okay.
So there was always that feeling of joy whenever somebody won. That's the type of feeling I want to give to the audience. How it feels for their favorite to win. It's like winning on a game show.
Okay.
I know, Blaze. I'm just
So I
messing
kind
with
of
you.
got that. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just messing with you, Blaze. I'm just messing with you.
So there was.
Odds,
So yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
odds. Stop trolling the audience. Behave yourself, odds. It's dad troll.
Why? It's fun.
It's dad troll.
Odds, baby.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
We here at the Let's Talk Coffee Shop podcast do not share the opinions of one off
Yeah.
corner. He's done that to me by the way, and I give him he's done that to me before too, so when I was drunk. Anyway, the viewpoints of Drunk Pete do not reflect anything happening on the show. You'll hear Odd say that.
Uh-huh.
Me going, down boy, behave yourself. All right. I think we've asked you quite a bit of questions. Seriously, how tough would it be to make a universe and cutscenes work more like a TV show? Well, if they added... I honestly think if they added Story Designer Blaze, that would fix everything. Like, you could literally just book your show in Story Designer, type in your feuds on the show, and yeah. You like the new one? Well, I got a
Not
few
even
more.
that.
I got a few
Not
more
even
planned.
that. People have wanted them to add the stuff from Story Designer into
Into Universe.
Universe for years.
Yeah. And I like the idea of the you have two options for stories, but the way that they do it right now doesn't work. Because one, it shows it on the screen, and two, you can't pick if this person wins, have this cutscene happen. If that person wins, have that cutscene happen. and
yeah.
well, and they in the old Story Designer stuff, they would have faction promos. Where literally all 3 or 4 members of your faction would walk into the ring and would cut a promo.
Even more than that.
Even more, yeah, even more. You know, it was 5, right? Up to 5 person?
It was up to 6.
It was up to 6 at one point? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could have a faction of 6, like let's say the Madness, for instance, this LTD reference right here. He could have, if you had Story Designer, you could have had all 6 Madness members that you wanted to have walk out, stand in the middle of the ring, and cut whatever the hell promo they wanted to cut.
They even walk down to the ring.
Yeah, they walked down to the ring together as a group.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were a lot of things that you could do in the old Story Designer that I really wish that we could use right now. But I mean, we have what we have, and we have to make best with what we have, and that's at least what I try and do. I try and make the best of what I can with what I got right now. I hope and pray that they add in covers his ears. Man, never. God bless you, Cav. You've been on it today. You really have. Even earlier. But yeah. Any.
With all that being said,
I was gonna say.
Believe this is when the shop closes.
I was just about to say, before we close the shop, TJ, do you have any final words that you'd like to share with the audience?
And for those that don't know,
Well,
tell them where to find you.
Ah, yes.
oh, okay. Well, let me type in the chat then. I'm right here. I don't know if I can share my URL though.
I'm working on that right now, actually. So I gotcha.
But of course, obviously, if you're a moderator, you could just go to my channel directly. But yeah, you just go to Jew22 on YouTube. I'm not one of those people that change their name, not even once. It has always been that. But that's where you can find me. But I also do more than just wrestling videos. I also have other games that I do, because at the end of the day, as much as I like wrestling, I also like to try to do other things like the Nintendo Switch or
You always need a break from the monotony.
Games. Exactly. Like, as much as I love wrestling, and I do, if that's all I did, trust me, I would probably be taking year-long hiatuses between games. I'm serious.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that. I take my hiatus offline, but I don't think yeah.
Well, even still, I want to say thank you for to Triple Bead and to Odds and also to Kyle, that for bringing me in, because I was honestly not expecting that, because I was just gonna chill for a little bit and then start doing my stream, but I'm gonna do my stream pretty soon. But yeah, to find Blue Toad Wrestling, you just go to my channel at Jew22. So I appreciate that very, very much.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I just want to say thank you for that.
I also want to say thank you to you as well. I know we literally sent a message into that little chat room. We messaged you like maybe a half an hour before the show, and you came in, and I really want to say thank you. So, hopefully we can get somebody else in here next time. But
or have another topic
yeah,
for y'all.
yeah.
With that being said, the shop is now officially closed.
Officially,
We have to restock the shelves and get more information for you to sink your teeth into. But until then,
guys, enjoy the outro. Then the other enjoy. How do I put this? Until then, you can enjoy finding the waypoint in the ocean.
Our drunken friends is at it again, racing at night in needful speed. The waypoint in the sand on a glistening beach.
It's a glitch,
He
it's on the
drove
ocean.
past it like a drunken fool, and his friends were asking him if he found the waypoint. Then they started
God damn it.
questioning his sobriety. When he figured out Beat was drunk and told him to drink coffee.
Please, you
but
typed
his
that as yourself,
dumbass
not as
grabbed
Rex.
Another beer. Beer, beer, beer. Beer, beer,
Oh my god!
with his mind not right.
Oh, that's a new name, Ots.
Beer goggles on tight. He could not find the waypoint. Dum dum dum. He's still looking for the waypoint. Then he finally thinks he sees it. He tells his friends it's in his sight. He's been looking all night. He says the waypoint's in the ocean. Do 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 dum.
Okay.
But he looks at his life.
So that's 'cause it was for him?
And says,
It was me,
"Road's
Ashton,
right
it was me."
behind you." But B was too far gone.
Oh my
And
god!
drove into the
My God.
ocean. The moral of the story is don't drive drunk or you might think the waypoint is in the ocean.
Goddamn! No! No!